Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more SH3. Today I am delighted to finally be joined by Korban. There's no family gatherings today, but today we are here for our play ratings from Grimsby Town 1, Bradford City 1, losing 9-8 on penalties yesterday. We're going to go through all the players, give our thoughts and opinions, all that sort of stuff. There's some we agree on, some we disagree on, and all that sort of stuff. If you do go on to enjoy, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. If you could try and hit 40 likes on today's video, that would be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're new as well. We're now closing in on 100 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already with that post notification bell on. It's free to do so, and it does massively help out. Get your play ratings down in the comment section down below. Let us know down below who was your man of the match from yesterday's game. Now, before we go any further, Korban, welcome to more SHD, your first time on the channel. How are we doing?
Good. I'm feeling good.
Are you excited to be here?
No.
Right, let's get into some player ratings then. We'll start firstly with Sam Walker, as we always do. I thought he was very good at the weekend. Make sure you go check out my player ratings from that video. But yesterday, I have given Sam Walker's performance a 6.5 out of 10. He made one or two decent saves. He didn't really have much to do, in all honesty. His distribution wasn't amazing. There's a few times where he was trying to send it to either Halliday or Richards, and it was just going straight out of play. I think you've got to credit the Grimsby fullbacks for kind of just shepherding the ball out, but I don't think his distribution was amazing. He did face, I think, 10 penalties and only saved one, which is a little bit of a concern for me. Even last season when we were facing penalties, I think he faced quite a few. He didn't save any of them, so to have only saved one out of about 15, 16 penalties, it's not ideal, to be fair, and he got close to one of them as well. It was about 6th or 7th penalty, but I think that kind of comes down to research, because the rest of them he was nowhere near on, and he actually dived the wrong way. I don't know if you put that down to Walker, Doyle, whoever does the research. They clearly got quite a lot of that wrong, but he made a really good penalty save, but apart from that, didn't really do too much in the game, so I have to give him just kind of an average 6.5 out of 10.
What do you think about penalties? Do you think the look or quality?
No, I think penalties is definitely a skill. When it gets down to like your 8th, 9th choice, 10th choice penalty takers, I feel like then it is kind of just luck, really, because there's not really going to be too much technique. It's more about, can you try and make the goalkeeper dive out of the way, but I certainly think it is a skill.
Yeah, I agree. When you look at the players who took the penalties, you know, I thought it were an odd one seeing Baldwin so far down and Cook were quite high up, and obviously Burn missed his, didn't he? What do you think about the order of the penalties? Because it won a lot of people's minds, and Smallwood took the first one and got a bit of resurrection for himself. Yeah,
well, obviously he did miss in the game, but I always expected him to step up. I didn't think he'd be first. I thought Andy Cook would be first, but I guess he did miss a fair few last season. Did he miss 3 or 4? Took like 6 and missed 3 or 4. Obviously one was the own goal against Crawley at home last season, but I thought the order was strange. I didn't expect Brad Halliday to step up second. I thought he might have been sick for something like that, but to see Jake Young not in the first 5 either, I do think it was an interesting selection for the penalties.
Yeah, and it nearly worked, didn't it? You know, we only missed one right at the end, but yeah, I think Walker, he did save one. It was a really good penalty save. He had a good save in the first half, I recall, but Grimsby didn't really trouble us too much, so it's always good if you keep him busy in the goal. I don't think he could have done all about, so Sam Walker for me, I'd just give him an average 6.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that, to be fair. We'll move on then to Aidan Baldwin. I've gone with a 7 out of 10 for Aidan Baldwin. I thought he was much better than what he was on Saturday. It probably comes down to the quality of opposition more than anything. I thought he was very good on the ball. There was a lot of very good progressive forward passes, which I was quite impressed with, especially in that second half. And I think in the first half as well, he dealt with Charles Vernon quite well. Halliday were kind of caught up the pitch on a few occasions, and Vernon was left 1v1 up against Baldwin, and I thought Vernon on his day can certainly beat him, and yeah, he did get past him the odd once or twice, but on the whole I thought Baldwin was pretty solid, better than Saturday for me, so I've gone to 7 out of 10 for Aidan Baldwin.
Yeah, I'd probably give him a 6. I thought he was quite solid enough. There's a couple of shaky moments with him where physically I think he looks a bit weak, which hopefully we can develop under him with Alexander. I think that's something he can coach into him, and I agree. I thought his passing was fantastic, and you know, looked playing to midfield all the time. But like I say, he had a couple of shaky moments which hopefully we can coach out.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And I said in my MK On's player ratings about Aidan Baldwin that his lack of aerial ability concerned me, but apparently he won 100% of his aerial duels against them kid on, so I guess I'll have to set that one on the chin. Moving on then to Neil Byrne. I've gone with a 5 out of 10 for Neil Byrne. Now, he seems to be a player who's already splitting the Bradford City fan base. I think the large majority of people were saying he was the best defender on Saturday, and I don't think the standard was particularly high, in all honesty, but I think he looked really poor yesterday. From what I've seen so far, I'm able to already make a judgment that he's a big downgrade on Matty Platt. He's at fault for the goal. He just turns his back, and to see a defender, a professional footballer, turn his back is unacceptable, really, in all honesty. It was like that meme where I think it was Salah versus Lisandro Martinez in the Premier League last season, where the striker's going one way and the defender's looking completely the other way. It was shocking defending from Neil Byrne. I thought, again, he lost quite a lot of physical battles, was getting pinned quite a lot by Donovan Wilson. Really slow, nearly got caught out in behind on a number of occasions. There was an opportunity, I think, in the second half for Grimsby, where I think the substitute was running in behind, Byrne was chasing after him. They were pulling on each other, but I would have not been surprised to see that be given the other way and Grimsby get the free kick and Neil Byrne be sent off for that one. The one good thing that I liked about Neil Byrne, he did have some good diagonal passes out to the wing backs, but I think for a middle centre back, I'd rather him be focused on his defensive ability, and I don't think it's particularly great. I think it's a big downgrade on Matty Platt, and I wasn't impressed with him again yesterday, so I'm going 5 out of 10.
You know that tussle you're on about with the red card? That's never going to be a red card.
No, I think it was actually a free kick to Bradford City, but referees would normally fall for that and give it the other way, because the Grimsby player clearly had 2 hands on his shirt, but Byrne was also all over him. It seemed to me like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I wouldn't really say it was a foul either way, and if it was to be a foul, I probably would give it Bradford City's way, but going forward, I feel like that does concern me a little bit, his lack of pace.
Yeah, but he came out on top.
Yes, but my point was more his lack of pace.
Yeah, but he ended up beating him with pace because he beat him with his physicality instead.
Right, alright, okay then.
Yeah, so, you know, it ain't all about pace being a centre-back. The goal he conceded, he was going towards the front post to try and cover that, and it's just been pulled back behind him. He's got caught, don't really know where it is, and then, you know, it does look poor, but I think he's gone to cover the front post and it's just been dragged back. So I think it is his fault, because he should be more alert, and if he's a bit quicker, he probably could have been more alert to read it, but it is a good finish and it is good play from Grimsby. I think, arguably, I thought he had a good game, but maybe, we'll talk about it, Shepherd maybe could have done more to stop the cross in the first place, to be honest with you. But, you know, we'll probably disagree with that as well. But yeah, I think Byrne had a solid enough game. You know, if the penalty miss and maybe the goal knocks him down to a 6 from what could have been a 7, because I thought he was solid enough. He won a load of his aerials, he won that battle, but he had that tussle with where he got beat for pace, apparently. And yeah, I like the look of him. And it is way too early to start judging a player, in my opinion. He's only had 2 competitive games, and you know, Matty Platt was an unbelievable. He was the best centre back in League 2 last season. If we could have matched his performances, and to have helped him with that, it's a big comparison. And Matty Platt wasn't the best in his first season either, so it might take him a couple of games to get going. And I think he has got the credentials and certain attributes that are very similar to Matty Platt.
One thing I didn't even actually mention about Neil Byrne was the penalty miss, and when I saw him stepping up, I've never felt more confident that a player was going to miss a spot kick in my entire life. I saw him step up to that, and I was like, it was so obvious which way he was going to go, and so frustrating. I think the most disappointing thing is we didn't get to see Sam Walker take a penalty, but when you saw Neil Byrne step up, how did you feel about that?
Well, let's just say I had a very sinking feeling down the back of my pants, because I just knew he wasn't going to score, unfortunately. But yeah, it was what it was. He missed, and it's an easy stick to beat him with, I suppose. But you know, I think he'll come good in time. But I do admit, I do think when he stepped up, I was feeling it, that adrenaline, and I didn't know it was brown.
Right, let's move on then to Jack Shepherd. Judging by your comments there, I think we're going to disagree on this one. I'm going with a 9 out of 10 for Jack Shepherd. I was really impressed with what I saw from him. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. It was an almost perfect performance. The only reason why he's not been given a 10 is because the goal does come down his side, but I'd put that more down to Lewis Richards being caught far too high up the pitch, and we'll come on to him later on in today's video. But I thought there was a number of vital blocks, tackles, interceptions, headers. He's got an unbelievable penalty as well. well for a centre-back. I've been very impressed with Shepherd so far. I think in the half an hour he got against Altrincham, the 10 minutes or so he got against MK Dons, and was it a full 90 minutes last night? Yeah, he played the full game last night, and I thought he had a really, really good display. I really liked the signing of him. I think I tweeted yesterday, was it yesterday? Maybe Monday, when we signed Sanderson, that both our signings have had previous EFL loan experience, and that is so vital to it. And Shepherd looks ready for men's first team football, and I'd like to see him start on Saturday. I thought it was brilliant, so I've gone with a 9 out of 10 for Jack Shepherd.
It was a bit tongue in cheek, with Shepherd. It was brilliant. I do think he could have done a bit better with a stop and cross. To be fair, like I say, Richards is his side. He's gone over to it. He did get caught up line in the pressing. That's something we seem to be getting done by, pressing out the pitch. It happened a couple of times, and for the goal, MK Dons, and I think their goal it was because we're talking about it, so it did happen. But I think that'll come, it'll click. But yeah, apart from that, he was fantastic. His ball distribution, his aerial ability, his pace, his recovery, his reading of the game, countless interceptions, and he looks up for it. He likes to go in for a tackle as well. So he was fantastic. I'd give him an 8. I wouldn't go as far as giving him a 9. I think you've got carried away there. And I wouldn't start him Saturday because I think it'd be unfair on Kieran Kelly to drop him. I wouldn't drop Neil Byrne. And I think Baldwin's position's nailed on, so I think he's still got a bit to do to earn his way in to the team.
I guess you have to wait and see what my team will be come round on Thursday probably for that match preview. But let's move on then to Richie Smallwood, and I've gone with a 7 out of 10 for Richie Smallwood. Now I thought in the first 30 minutes of the game I thought he was absolutely brilliant. In-game penalty was quite poor, let's be honest. He's blasted it over the bar. Why did one of the other strikers not step up? Was it a choice by Graham Alexander? I'm not really too sure, and I think his performance did dip a little bit after that penalty miss. I think we need to give him credit for stepping up first in the penalty shootout. That would have been easy for him to do after missing in the game, but that was a brilliantly converted penalty. At times he does massively lack pace, and again, similar to Neil Byrne, we nearly got caught out a few times on the counter attack. There was an opportunity in the second half for Grimsby, and Smallwood was just absolutely left in the dust by a team like Gillingham. And then Smallwood on the whole for me, I think started out well, dipped towards the end, faded a little bit. It certainly wasn't a bad performance. His penalty wasn't awful, but it's not on the back of the net, so I think we have to mark him down a little bit for that. So that's why I've gone with a 7 out of 10 for Richie Smallwood.
I'd give him a 7 as well. I thought first 30 minutes I was really impressed with him because it's a Carabao Cup game. A lot of players aren't normally as up for it as I saw Smallwood, charging into tackles, pulling everyone together, and that's leadership for you, dragging your players through games where, there may be a bit of complacency because, not every player is going to be up for a game like that. So I was so impressed in that 30 minutes. His head clearly dropped when he missed the penalty. He skied it, and I think straight after he was trying to make up for it by covering too much of the pitch and then left a load of space open in his area. But second half there was a bit of an improvement, and that's what you get from Smallwood. And then obviously standing up when it mattered, scoring the first penalty, and with the penalty, I think you mentioned, didn't you, with Cook, missing a few last season, and then I do remember Smallwood scoring against Grimsby last season away from home as well. So unfortunately he couldn't recreate that, but I'd probably give him a 7.
Yeah, I think as well, one thing that I noted about Richie Smallwood is, especially I think in the second half, he was playing a lot of passes which broke the lines. He just about managed to get it in between their midfield press, and I think again probably does deserve a little bit of credit for that. I think the main takeaway from the Bradford City fans about Smallwood was good performance on the whole, but he needs to come off all set pieces, whether that be penalties, corners, free kicks. He seems to kind of be that one person on pro clubs who puts himself on every single one. Not naming any names, but we'll move on then to Brad Halliday next. I've gone with a 6 out of 10 for Brad Halliday. The main takeaway is obviously his penalty miss. I think it seemed very predictable which side he was going. I think it just seemed very obvious that he was going to try and not necessarily open up his body, but just try and blast it into that top corner, and it was a good save, to be fair, from Jakey.
Pardon? You're not going to keep that in?
Yeah, we'll keep that in. From Jake Eastwood. And he's had a very slow start to the season, hasn't he, as Brad Halliday? Is he still building fitness? Obviously, we know he missed the first couple of games in pre-season, so he is a little bit behind everybody else. But he looks okay defensively. Nothing really to stand out, though. Nothing really to note. But I don't think he's involved as much going forward. He had a decent, powerful strike in the first half, but I still think there is a lot more to come. He seems a little bit more conservative, doesn't seem to be bombing on as much, and his deliveries into the box haven't been amazing. I do think it has been a slow start to the season for Brad Halliday. Yes, we're only 2 games in, but he set the standard so high last season, and hopefully he can get back to that sometime soon. But as of right now, I'm going to have to go with a 6 out of 10 for Brad Halliday's performance yesterday.
Yeah, it might be controversial, but I'm going one lower. I'm going with a 5 because I just think, like I say, it just looks a bit off the pace compared to last season. Obviously, against MK Dons, he got bullied for the goal against Alex Gilby and outpaced which one like him. And then, again, today, wasn't involved in a goal against, but missed his penalty, which was unfortunate, but it baffled me why you'd have Halliday second. And a load of chances we could have created down his right side, and a lot of poor balls into the box. We were dominating, and loads of moments in the game where we should have created more with our momentum. And Halliday, for me, let us down a bit down that right side, and I thought we could have maybe gone for it a bit more by taking both wing backs off, but it was Richards who came off at the time. But yeah, I think he will get back to where he was. Don't forget, last season he barely started at the beginning, so maybe it's just a case of Halliday needing a couple of games to get back up to his levels.
Yeah, I mean, there's still plenty of time left in the season. I'm sure Brad Halliday will come good once again. Let's move on then to Jamie Walker. Another 6 out of 10 for Jamie Walker. I thought it was a big opportunity for him in this one, and he massively failed to put on a show. Second half, he made a good tackle high up the pitch, but then decided to shoot when a pass to either Cook or Kavanagh was definitely the better option. His shot was quite tame as well, into the Grimsby Town goalkeeper's hands. He also made a really stupid dive in the second half. I think he was trying to buy a cheap free kick, but I'm pretty sure the referee normally officiates in the Premier League, so he's never going to fall for that, and gave away a free kick in what was quite a dangerous position. Thankfully, though, in the end, it didn't cost us. I do think he was subbed off at the correct time. I think at this moment in time, though, Alex Patterson, Anthony Sarsfield, even Clark Adore are all ahead of him in the pecking order. They've all certainly impressed me a lot more than Walker has so far this season. He needs to be involved a lot more. He needs to start showing his quality, because it was okay last season. We didn't have the competition with no Sarsfield at the football club. Alex Patterson was injured for the large part as well, so he knew he was going to play 90 minutes every day. Well, not every day, but every match day. And now we've got that competition for places. Walker's lack of involvement in the games is really starting to stand out, and I thought yesterday it was a big opportunity which he failed to take, so that's why I've gone with a 6 out of 10 for Jamie Walker.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to struggle a bit this season, because every time he comes back from an injury, or every time he just starts going to get on a run of games, it takes him a game or 90 minutes, 60 minutes to get up to the speed where he can get to. And again, another player who just looked a bit off the pace, because normally, he's making darting runs in behind. He's always picking up in pockets of space, and he just wasn't quite at that level yesterday. But there were a few nice moments, a few good link-up play. He did make a few good runs, but like you said, with the competition in those areas now, if he ain't on it, he won't be starting, and he won't be starting against Salford. And that's a big worry for Walker, because if it takes him a couple of games to get into his flow, then we've got players who can take his place, and I think that could be a bit of an hindrance for him this season, unfortunately.
Do you think as well, obviously we know about the strong Carlisle rumours at the start of the summer, that was the reason why we triggered his option rather than just giving him fresh terms and all that sort of stuff, but do you think that the club, for one, expected him to move on? That's why they brought Anthony Sarsfield in, and do you think he could still move on as well? Because obviously still a few weeks left of the window, and if he's going to be sat on the bench all season, a player of his age and calibre and pedigree on paper should probably be starting. So how do you think Walker's season will pan out?
Well, it's an interesting one, because he definitely could move on. But there's so many players who we're saying could move on, and it could be quite unsettling. And I think we need to be focusing on players who are committed to being here. And I think early on in the May sort of time of the summer, I think Walker probably would have wanted to maybe have a new challenge, maybe move on to Carlisle. It obviously didn't happen, and I think he's professional enough, and he's got that character about him to just put that to one side and focus on City, because he sort of bleeds us in many ways. You see him on the social medias, he's always in and around it, sort of trying to get involved, and you see it on the pitch as well. So I think he's more than professional enough to just get on with his business.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, to be honest with you. We'll move on then to Clark Ador next. I think if a lot of people probably have been surprised to see Ador starting in them number 8, number 10 positions over Bobby Poynton. But for me personally, I thought Clark Ador had quite an impressive display. I'd give him a 7.5 out of 10. I thought he was pretty good in central midfield, nothing too amazing and stand out, but I think he's certainly got a lot better at left wing back. He gets an excellent assist for Andy Cook's goal. Should the keeper do better? Absolutely, but Ador fires it in with so much fizz and just determination to get that ball to the back post for Andy Cook to tap home. It's a brilliant ball into the box. I think he does need to have more confidence in his ability. I would say in terms of technical natural ability, he is the best player in this Bradford City squad, but he just doesn't show it on a consistent enough basis. He can pick the ball up and he can easily glide past 2, 3, 4 players, but he just doesn't seem to want to do it enough. He's a very, very talented player. He sometimes does play backwards a little bit too much in my opinion. I still don't know if he's got that half a yard of pace to get away from a player. I think again at left wing back he displays that a little bit more, but he just needs to have more confidence to take players on, because yes, he's not the most physical, but there's clearly a lot of quality and a lot of talent in at Clark Ador's feet. So I'd like to see him maybe get a start on Saturday, probably as that left wing back. But for me personally, I thought he had a really good game yesterday, so I'm going with a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree. I'd give him a 7. I thought, I agree with being the most technical player, because he keeps the ball so close to him. He makes it look effortless how he glides through players. And with the confidence thing, I don't like, judging or saying stuff like this, but you do see him on the little social media clips, the TikToks, and he does always seem to be quite reserved and a bit quieter. And hopefully that's something that can be worked on, because you see it on the pitch sometimes, he does look to turn down forward opportunities, and that's why he can be a frustration to some sections of the fans. But when you're looking at a player for player and pure ability, he's got so much of that, and he's a real talent that I think we can turn into a bit of a diamond if we can get him in the right system and give him that confidence that he needs.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, to be fair. And we'll move on then to Lewis Richards, as we've already spoken about him briefly so far in this video. I've gone with a 5 out of 10 though for Lewis Richards. Again, similar to the likes of Jamie Walker, Clark Ador, Viden Oliver. Big opportunity for him in this one. I think he massively failed to deliver. Going 5 out of 10 for Lewis Richards. I thought he was really, really poor. And I don't think he has the fitness or agility to play left wing back in a Graham Alexander system. He might work at left centre back. We saw him play there a few times in pre-season, and on the whole, he did look quite solid. But we've now got Kelly and Shepherd both competing for that position, so I can't see Lewis Richards getting in there. He was caught too high up the pitch far too often for me. He was subbed off, and that was the correct decision. I thought having a full pre-season under Graham Alexander would make Lewis Richards fitter, but it doesn't look to be that whatsoever. I think it's just his build, and again, Lewis Richards, another player we might see move on this transfer window. If we can get a specialist left wing back, Tom Pearce is still a free agent, but don't bring Liam Rideout back to the football club. Then if we can get someone like a Tom Pearce in, I'd be looking to move Lewis Richards on, because he clearly doesn't suit Alexander's system to play as a left wing back. I thought he was really poor yesterday, and I would be very surprised if he does start on Saturday against Salford. So I'm going 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the biggest concern, the fitness of Lewis Richards, and I just wonder if it's more of a condition, if he's got an asthma problem or something like that, because he does always look to be huffing and puffing, and he doesn't seem to be able to get up and down the flanks well enough to play as a wing back, and that's something that Alexander has recognised, and that's why Tariq Wright plays there, because he is a bit more of a fitter player. Maybe it can be level that he can be a bit more lazier, and that can be said, because I said it. But I do think that his crossing was poor. He got into some, again like Howard, he got into some really good positions, and he just didn't lift it, and he always seemed to hit the first man, and you can't be wasting opportunities like that. And then, like I said, for the goal, he got caught out, so I'd give him I'd probably agree with a 5. He didn't take his opportunity.
I think Lewis Richards' big problem is, if you're going to play wing back, you need to be able to cross the ball, and it's similar to Tariq Wright, really. Neither of them can really cross the ball into the box to a decent enough standard. I think the only player who can do that is Brad Halliday, but again, he's not really done that this season, so I think that is a little bit of a concern. None of our wing-backs can really cross the ball into the box, but I think when Callum Johnson's fit and available, we might see him overlapping and sticking some crosses in it to the box. So let's move on then to Vadaine Oliver. I've gone with a 6 out of 10 for Vadaine Oliver. First things first, I think we need to say to him, speedy recovery. It did look quite serious what happened. He kind of landed on his back, neck. I think it was some type of concussion that he had to come off with, so he'll be out for a week, 10 days, something like that. So again, opens the door to one of our other strikers. As you know, we've got many different options there at the moment, but he managed just over 45 minutes before the injury. Largely ineffective though. 6'3", he jumps and he goes to 5'8" somehow. He always makes himself seem a little bit smaller. Not useless, just not good enough for us. Potential payoff. I think if we are looking to get someone better in, and I don't know if it contributes to financial fair play if you just pay someone off for their contract, but if Oliver is just going to sit and claim $4.5 a week, whatever he's on, for the rest of the season, we might as well just pay him off now and go get somebody else. And if we're going to have this extra investment and we want extra quality, we need better competition for Andy Cook, and Vadaine Oliver for me just simply does not offer that. But again, it comes down to silly contracts. Giving Oliver a 3-year deal at the time we did was stupid. It should have been 2-year with the option, but thankfully the club seemed to have learned from that now on, and as Oliver did not complete the full 90 minutes, Korban won't be giving any thoughts on him.
No, the fish and chips in it, it's not to talk about.
And the final player in the starting 11 then was Callum Kavanagh, and I've gone with a 5 out of 10 for Kavanagh. I thought he was very, very poor again. He lost the ball far too much in my personal opinion, and he didn't really have it much. He wasn't involved too much, and when he did, he just constantly kept losing it. He looked a little bit lazy or tired to me. There was a few times where he'd give the ball away and his instant reaction wasn't to press and try and win the ball back. It was more to just kind of throw his arms around, and I don't really like to see that, in all honesty. He needs to be better if he wants to be starting. As we mentioned on Saturday, there's a lot of competition for places. Jake Young got an opportunity last night. Sanderson recently joined the football club. Tyler Smith not even on the bench, not even in the matchday squad, same as Harry Ibbotson. So there is a lot of competition for places. I feel like the expectation for Kavanagh this season was a lot higher than what it was last campaign, because he came in with no real expectation on him, but scored a couple of decent goals, and I feel like going into this season everyone thought he might get 15-20 goals, but he certainly looks a shadow of his former self from last campaign. I think it is a little bit of a concern going into the remainder of the season, but as of right now I'm going to go with a 5 out of 10 for Callum Kavanagh.
Yeah, I agree. I can't really defend him. I thought, his link-up play was poor, his touch was really poor, and maybe I agree, he probably looked a bit tired as well, which is a bit of a concern so early on in the season for someone to look that tired. But there's competition. Sanderson's a very similar player, so I like that sign a lot. He can compete with Callum Kavanagh, keep him on his toes, but I think he will come good. I think he will get towards that 10 to 15 goals, because he's got the hunger for it, and I think that's what I like to see in an attack-minded player, someone who's hungry, someone who's determined and has that desire, and he embodies what we want to see in an attacking-minded player. So I just think it's about developing the rough edges around him, because he's definitely got the grit, but it's just whether we can get that technical ability of his to actually come through.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit frustrating with Callum Kavanagh, but we saw it a few times last season where he wouldn't play particularly amazing, but he'd still pop up with a goal, and he had a decent chance in the second half. I think it was Adore who put a low cross into the box at the front post, and Kavanagh just kind of put that one over the bar. So let's move on then to our substitutions, starting out firstly with Andy Cook. It came on just before the half-time mark for Vadaine Oliver. I've gone to 7.5 out of 10 for Andy Cook. I thought he had a good impact on off the bench, won a few more headers, certainly more than what Vadaine Oliver did, to be fair. He scored a true striker's goal, really, where the ball shouldn't have gone all the way through, but Andy Cook gambles and he anticipates that the keeper might make an error there. He's in the right place at the right time, and it's great for him to get off the mark so early on in the season. He did score a great penalty as well, although it looked to me like it was going to go wide, but he just creeped it in off the post, very similar to the Grimsby penalty, just a few spot kicks before that. But I think he looks hungry this season, and I think he would probably been very frustrated having been subbed off so early on in the MK Dons game, so I'm sure he's delighted to have finally got his first goal of the season, and I think we both fully expect him to probably start the weekend as well.
Yeah, it's huge that he's got that first goal, because the start of last season he went searching for it a bit, it didn't quite come to him, so to get that first goal, he's off the mark. Never ever boo Andy Cook if he's a former player of yours, because he will punish you for it. You know, it just happens every time, and it was a really good striker's instinct finish, real poacher, and I do expect him to get towards that 20 to 30 goal mark again this season, because like I say, it's important he's got off the mark nice and early, gives his confidence a nice boost. He's a massive confidence player, and more importantly as well is the fact he is much leaner. You know, he's much quicker, much leaner, and that hunger will show through, and that desire, and you know, the competition for places as well. So I think that there's loads going his way for him again this season to have another good season. He's in the top 10 now, 71 goals scored in his Bradford City career. I think he's exactly 20 away from James Hansen. Do you think he'll beat that this season?
Yeah, I think if he stays fit and available, and obviously he might get a few in the EFL trophy and all that sort of stuff, but I think if he doesn't get 20 goals in all competitions, I think for the standards Andy Cook has set, I'd probably say that's quite a poor season, to be fair. Yeah,
especially for what we're expecting this season.
Let's move on then to Bobby Poynton, who I think came on just after the hour mark, around 65 minutes, something like that. He was part of a triple substitution. I've gone with a 6.5 out of 10 for the star boy, slightly above average. I think there's still a lot more to come though from Bobby Poynton. I wouldn't say massively impressed me in pre-season, had some good moments, and again, very similar to last night, had some good moments, but just wasn't quite consistent enough. He had some good link-up play with Clark Adore and Richie Smallwood for our goal. Nice one too, I think it was, with Adore. Solid penalty, but 8th choice, I think that seems to me like he lacks confidence a little bit. Now, I don't know whether that would be a decision for Graham Alexander or Bobby Poynton to make, but I do think that it concerned me a little bit that we saw a number of different defenders step up before Bobby Poynton did, and it was a really good penalty. I don't really know why he was so far down the pecking order. The goalkeeper seemed to think he was going to stay down the middle, but he converted it brilliantly into that bottom corner. I would say just slightly above average, so I've gone with a 6.5 out of 10 for Poynton.
Me? Not doing it.
Not even a rating?
Not doing it.
Not even a comment on the penalty?
Well done.
Well done.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to Jake Young. I've gone with a 6 out of 10 for Jake Young. Largely ineffective. It was very nice to see him play. Obviously, unused substitute on Saturday kind of probably cools the rumours a little bit. As we know, you can only play for 2 English EFL Football League 72 clubs a season, and he's already played for 1 now, so at least that means that he can't go out on loan and we'll sell him to another club in January. So slightly positive news on that front. He did score a really good penalty, sent the keeper the wrong way. I think at times in the game though, he was maybe trying a little bit too hard to impress, and we've got to remember that partnership with Andy Cook is still very raw. They've not played a lot of football together, so I think on the whole there is still a lot more to come from Jake Young. I'd probably like to see him get a start on Saturday. I think Kavanagh needs to come out of the starting 11 now. He's had 2 poor games in a row, so give somebody else a chance, someone like a Jake Young, somebody like an Ollie Sanderson, but I'm going 6 out of 10 for Jake Young. Any comments?
I don't think he'll start Saturday.
Who do you think should start on Saturday then?
Should. Probably Jake Young, but he won't.
Who do you think will start on Saturday?
Kavanagh.
I think that would be frustrating because I don't think he's earned that over the last 2 games, in all honesty. But moving on then to the final substitute, Anthony Sarcevic, again very similar to Jake Young, 6 out of 10, very ineffective. Did score a great penalty right into the side netting, had some nice link-up play, but nothing too amazing or stand out. There's nothing really too much to say about Sarcevic. I would have personally liked to see Alex Patterson come on instead of him. I feel like as a substitute in terms of impact, Patterson will bring you a little bit more because he's got more legs and more energy in there, but I think I just got to give him an average 6. Didn't really do too much in the game. The
thing with Patterson is we've got to make sure we really manage him this season, because we can't be having him getting injured again. We saw on Saturday how important he'll be. Let's not, rush him into games like Tuesday where we didn't really need to play him when you've got to play with Sarcevic.
Yeah, I probably agree with that in all honesty. But our final player rating then is obviously the manager, Graham Alexander. I was really impressed with his management at the weekend. Yesterday though, I'll go with a 7 out of 10 for that. I like the small rotations in the starting 11. I feel like he got that balance fairly spot on. I would have liked to see maybe Sam Stubbs get an opportunity over Neil Byrne, maybe Gilead over Smallwood, but I can certainly understand why he went with the skipper. I think Kavanagh should have been benched based on his performance on Saturday. Again, so many different options at the top end of the pitch. Why not give other players an opportunity? I like the substitutions. I feel like they were very positive, especially that triple change just after the hour mark. I would have personally brought Alex Patterson on for Neil Byrne with a few minutes left of stoppage time. It was very obvious the game was going to go to penalties, so why not have somebody like an Alex Patterson on the pitch rather than a Neil Byrne? Because I feel like if Patterson was there as an option rather than Neil Byrne, we'd probably be in the second round of the Carabao Cup right now. But I guess that's all. If muts and babies, definitely no babies around here. If buts and maybes, and we definitely do absolutes around here. I think one thing as well I'd like to touch on after that is about the futures of some players. So I'll firstly let you give your thoughts on Alexander's performance yesterday.
Good. We played well. I thought we were unlucky to not get the 3 points, and I think if it were another day we probably would. I think we had 23 shots, 9 on target. 3
points.
23 points.
No, you said we were unlucky not to get the 3 points.
Yeah, we were unlucky not to get the win. Yeah, and we were. Do you not agree?
Well, maybe, but I don't think we'd get the 3 points for winning.
No. Did you have to do that?
Well, someone would have commented, so I just thought,
You won't get a life. I mean, why's your wall sticky?
Let's move back into Graham Alexander.
Right, so yeah, I thought we had a great game, and we were lucky not to win. It reminded me of the Wickham game back in February. And yeah, I just thought we're unlucky, to be fair. And I thought this is the thing with managers: you can put out a team that should have won the game, you can dominate the game, you can do everything you can to win the game, make the right substitutions, but ultimately, if fine margins don't happen where you don't put the ball in the back of net, you don't take your chances, and certain players don't deliver for you, then you're going to get levelled with not getting the victory.
The 3 victories.
The 3 victories.
Right, we'll end today's video then with talking about the potential future of some players. The players who I have picked out here have not been included in the matchday squad in both games. Obviously, we know Kevin McDonald training with the youth team. We know Adam Wilson probably going to also depart, but Sam Stubbs hasn't featured in the last 3 games, including the final game against Altrincham. He was an unused substitute in that one and has failed to make the bench in both the MK Dons and Grimsby game. Alex Gilead, the same can be said about him, played wing back out of position a lot in pre-season and he's failed to make the bench. Lots of rumours about him potentially leaving, and Carlisle are apparently interested at the moment. And again, Tyler Smith failed to make the matchday squad on the last 2 games, but did start in the final pre-season match against Altrincham. So in terms of them 3 players specifically, where do you think they'll end up? Do you think they'll be at Bradford City, or do you think they'll be at another club? And what sort of level do you think they'll be at if they do move on?
Just get rid of McDonald and Stubbs and keep Gilead.
Tyler Smith?
Oh, get rid of him.
Good mate of yours, isn't he?
Yeah, get rid. We don't need him.
If Stubbs, Gilead and Smith were to move on, what sort of level do you think they'd be at?
Not a good one. But not non-league, wouldn't they?
You think they all go down to non-league?
Yeah.
Is that it? You just non-league?
Non-league. I mean, they're not gonna go up in the world, are they? They're not gonna go up to League One.
Do you not think though they could go to another League Two club? No. Somewhere like, I don't know, Bromley would take Sam Stubbs.
Oh, well,
someone like Harrogate might take Sam Stubbs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, now you named the clubs, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of League Two. I think they'd all get into it. I think Tyler Smith would be good for like Walsall.
No, he's not good for anyone. He's not even good for his wife.
They've got Jamil, Matt and Josh Gordon up front.
Like
Tyler Smith would be a good signing for Walsall. Hold on. If they want to pay all of his wages...
If they want to go down to non-league, then yeah.
Yeah, but he can't be any worse than Josh Gordon.
I don't mind Josh Gordon.
And Tyler Smith is a lot better than Josh Gordon.
He is not.
I would put a lot of money on if they both played 46 games a season in League 2, Tyler Smith would score more goals than Josh Gordon.
Not a chance. No. Well, no. Just not happening. No.
Just not happening. Right, no. Well, we'll leave it there then for today's video. So, Korban, thank you all. Not thank you all. Thank you for your time. And thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, make sure to drop a like on there for us. If you could try and hit 40 likes on today's video, that would be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're new as well. We're now on the road to 100 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed. If you haven't already, with that post notification bell on, it's free to do so, and it does massively help out. Get your thoughts in. I don't know, I thought you were just staring at me.
Well, I am.
Get your thoughts in the comments. Let us know your player ratings and your man of the match, all that sort of stuff. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you for watching.
Stop you there. He's been cheating. He's got a full notes pad here.
You mean I've prepared?
No, you're cheating.
No, you mean I've prepared?
Cheating.
I've prepared.
Cheating or prepared, let us know. Mine's all up here. You know, I've got it all up here. I can't even remember.
I've slept since then.
Slept since when?
Since the bloody fixture.
Yeah, well, so did I.
That's why I did this last night.
I've had to get a bus here, right? I've had to walk half an hour from where I got off the bus to get to this recluse where no one knows where we are, right? And you have the cheek to turn up.
What do you mean turn up?
In your tracky bottoms with a full bloody notes pad with about 10 pages worth, whilst I've just got to recall it over my brain.
It's 545 words, if you must know. Thank you for watching.
Goodbye.
Oh, the camera's gonna die.
505 words.
545.
Bloody hell.